Yes, Bill Peterson, Loretto, Kentucky. I wanted to ask Dr. Bilo to give us a little follow-up on his research from 2010, and did the 7 wonders change?
So excellent question, Bill. I didn't get a chance to mention our whole high yield package, which effectively involves making sure you protect against nitrogen loss. We used super urea as a way to do that. Then we took the best triple stack genetics. We grew that at a higher population. We're in the low 40,000, so don't try that on your farm yet, but increase in population is clearly in the future. We made sure that we fed that increased population with balanced nutrition. That involved potassium, sulfur, zinc. Remember, we already know that we have N there thanks to the super urea. And then we took all that and protected it with a fungicide. So it's a 5-factor high-tech package. We've done this work over the state of Illinois both last year and this year. And anybody in Illinois knows last year, 2009, was a lot better year than 2010. Mother Nature turned the heat up during grain fill in most of the state of Illinois. I think, we lost somewhere around 30 bushels. Rough rule of thumb, if the nighttime temperature stays above 70 Fahrenheit at night, kiss a bushel goodbye. So there was about 30 right off the top end. But I'm happy to say that in 2010, across the state of Illinois, our high-tech package yielded 35 bushels higher than the traditional tech. That was an average of all sites. That ranged from 25 to 45. Not as good as we saw in 2009, where we had 50-plus bushels, but at least the price of grain is higher. We noticed that we never know what the weather is going to do. 2010 was a protect the yield year. In 2010, our package helped protect at least 35 bushels of additional yield. So I clearly think there's some yield to be gained by today's high crop tech management and our excellent technologies that we have for fertilizer management, not unlike AGROTAIN or super urea.
When you talk about increased population, how much of an increase are we talking about?
So I think let's call 32,000 an average, and in order to consistently grow 300 bushels, you're ultimately going to have to be at populations in the 40,000 range. Talk about sticker shock. And I think partly today's and future biotech genetics are going to allow you to plant at those kind of stands. And then the key is going to be to manage that growing population with products like we're talking about here today.
How far away are we from that, you think?
Well, every year somebody comes close to growing 300. I came close myself in 2009. And if the weather cooperates and we have the proper management practices, I think it's right around the corner. And I think it's certainly true for farmers here that the reason you're here is to gain that knowledge and information that allows you to manage your operation for 300 bushels. So I don't have to tell you guys, the sooner we can produce those kinds of yields, the better we're going to be off. The world needs more corn. You're the ones that have to do it.
All right, another question from our audience here in Atlanta.
Hello, my name is Woody and I'm from New Jersey. And we use a lot of dairy manure in our operation. And if it will work, how do we get into the system and what kind of results will we get?
Was it on manure?
Oh, manure.
Yeah. On dairy manure, yes.
On dairy manure?
Dairy.
Well, we've looked at manure, and we're still looking at it. Let me kind of give you some information that I have. When we look at controlling urea volatility from dairy or hog, once the manure leaves the animal, it stays in the urea form for about 36 hours. And that means you're going to have to apply that AGROTAIN to protect that urea as it hits the floor. I don't think that's possible a lot of times.
It also depends how you're storing it. And so AGROTAIN in that environment doesn't last a huge amount of time. You probably got a week, 2-week window to get that manure on the ground and get it in. So it also doesn't, if it's in a pond for a month and you're putting it up front, it's probably academic whether it does you good or not. So it depends how fast you're turning it around.
We are looking at manure that's being applied as it comes out of a lagoon that but we're using our super product, AGROTAIN Plus. I don't have results to tell you right now. This is something that we've looked at. We've had inconsistent results. The Agriculture Research Service out of Penn State University is currently looking at that for us, because there are some chemical things going on in manure that are different than in urea that cause ammonia to be developed and gas off. So right now I don't have anything promising to tell you about that. I'll go one step further though and talk about another manure type that we've had real good success in, and that is poultry litter. And the reason I say poultry litter is because there's more uric acid than urea, so it goes through a conversion process. And what we've seen working with the University of Maryland, Purdue Farms, that we are getting an increase in nitrogen response on crops, increase in yield on primarily corn, as a result of adding the AGROTAIN and AGROTAIN Plus to a poultry litter.
So I wish I could get my hands on some of your urea. You know, I might not like the smell, but that's liquid gold when it comes to high yield. And most high yield situations, many have manure as part of the equation. The biological activity that manure can add to the soil sometimes gives you a little bit of an unfair advantage, I think, as you try to manage for high yield. So take advantage of that.
And you know what I've learned? I knew what your area of expertise was and what Don's was. Now I know what John's is, manure.
I've stepped in a lot.
Yeah, so, you know, everybody's good at something. And
That's
so
right.
Now we know, right? All right.